do when your love for music and writing gets your creative potential noticed? Well, you publish a book, start writing for a prominent Vegas music magazine, and become a multi-genre author, of course. Hi, I'm your host, Garrett K. Jones, and this month on Author Awareness, I'm interviewing Lauryn Dyan, the author of Hollow Stars. Hey, happy Saturday everybody. I hope you're all doing well. We are just a couple of months out from Author Awareness August, and I'll talk more about that as we get closer, but I will let you know now that I've got a great selection of authors coming up for my month-long marathon of interviews.
Before going any further with the video, be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications on new videos. You can select notifications for all videos, or you can select notifications based on your preferences. If you're watching on your phone, be sure to update those settings inside the app itself to get the most out of your viewing experience.
I'm eager to find channel supporters. You can pick from supporting me on Patreon or buying and repping merch on social media, but by far the least expensive and fastest way to support what I do here on YouTube is by pushing my buttons. You know, like the like button, and the subscribe button, and the share button. In fact, you can also sign up for a free giveaway. I'm giving away this autographed poster featuring the cover art from my first 4 books. You can sign up, share my videos and channel with everybody you know, and I'll select a winner when I hit 200 subscribers on YouTube. Hey Lauryn, thanks for joining me. Tell me about yourself and Hollow Stars.
Thank you for having me. As you mentioned, I'm a multi-genre author. My first novel, Hollow Stars, is out now on Amazon. That book centers around a rock star, Kennedy, who is committed after her first major rock tour. And it alternates between the past and the present as you try to figure out why she was committed. Was it her partying? Was it one of her bandmates or a tour mate who was trying to sabotage her? Or was it her own mental instability? So it's kind of a fun story and a mystery all rolled into one. I'm also finishing up my next novel, which is going to be an urban fantasy for young adults. And I feel like I describe my work as aging backwards like Benjamin Button, because my first book was for adults, new adults. My second book is going to be an urban fantasy for young adults. And then I'm also working on children's picture books. So that project is in its infancy, but that's also coming. And then on the side, I also write for Las Vegas's rock magazine, Smash Magazine. And that's kind of my outlet for all things alternative culture.
So how did you get into writing? Was it something that you discovered as a recent talent, or was this something that you've always wanted to do?
You know, it's funny, I did always love to write. When I was young, I started writing in elementary school. I won a couple of writing contests. I just had a very wild imagination. I used to tell a lot of stories to whoever would listen, sometimes inanimate objects when there were no people around to listen to them. And then I kind of lost touch with it as I got older. You know, schoolwork took over, ambition took over. I got involved in marketing, which is still a big part of my day job. And then, you know, I came to a point where I decided I needed another creative outlet. You know, working 9 to 5 wasn't really cutting it. And I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna see what happens if I get back on the computer and start typing something out. And so my original plan was to start with a short story. Well, that short story turned into my first novel. So I didn't realize that I loved writing so much until I put, I'd like to say pen to paper, but nowadays it's fingers to keys. And I I just got hooked, and now it's one of those things where if I'm not writing, it almost feels like I'm not doing something I'm supposed to be doing. I'm not exercising or taking my daily vitamins, or, you know, if you're an alcoholic, taking a drink. So I'm, I guess, a little bit addicted. So I really enjoy it, and it's just become something of a hobby that I hope one day will turn into maybe a full-time career, you know, fingers crossed.
What are some of your inspirations as a writer?
So if you haven't guessed by now, one of my biggest inspirations for my writing is music. I'm somewhat of a music addict. Concert enthusiast is one way I like to put it, though that's really been curbed due to the pandemic, and I miss it immensely. My first novel that I already mentioned, Hollow Stars, is actually heavily influenced by the 2000s emo screamo scene, and for anyone who's not familiar with that, that's just kind of the underground music of the times back then that's become a little more well known. So all of the characters are named after different band members or song titles. It's kind of my way of paying tribute to all those artists that influenced me and really helped me at a time when I was figuring out who I was. For my other novels that aren't maybe necessarily as music-based, there's always a music element. In my new novel that I'm working on, that's the urban fantasy, which has basically a bunch of immortals masquerading as regular human beings. One of the side characters is, of course, a rock star, and he is based on one of my favorite bands. And then every book that I write has its own playlist on Spotify. So that's really fun for me to make. And again, another way to tie it back to those artists that influenced me is kind of a way to bring things full circle. And then obviously in my journalism career, I write for a music magazine. So I get to tell people how I feel about albums and artists, whether they want to hear it or not. So that's my nonfiction slant on my music inspiration.
What has been the hardest part or the biggest challenge in the creation of your work?
The biggest challenge, so there's obviously a lot of challenges when you're an indie author, through all steps of the process. Obviously at the very end, the hardest part is promotion. But if we're talking strictly about the creation side of things, time. I would say hands down, time is my biggest challenge. I feel like I have no end to ideas, but very limited time I can dedicate to each one. Especially when you're an indie author, your writing is your side hustle. You know, you're doing other things during the day, and I do have a day job, and I have a family, and you know, other things that go along with just being a person. And so, you know, I am a night owl. I stay up late. I do my writing in the wee hours of the evenings. And I feel like I'm always just trying to find a quiet minute, or maybe just steal a quiet minute where I can sneak away with my laptop and do some writing, or some, you know, just jotting down ideas, or editing even takes time. So if there was one thing that I could, you know, superpower I could have, it would be to never sleep, because then I would have endless time to spend on my writing, and it wouldn't be as much of a side hustle.
If you could give any advice to other would-be authors out there, what would you say to them?
Advice. You know, it's funny to be asked what my advice is, because I still feel like I'm trying to get advice, you know, as somebody who is still building up her catalog of work. But it sounds cliche, and this is what everyone tells me every time I ask them for advice, but it's so true. It's just don't give up. Being a writer is very challenging. There's a lot of rejection that comes along with it, whether it be from the querying process when you're trying to find somebody who wants to put your work out there for you, or when it's actually out there and you're getting reviews, or not getting reviews. But you know, every successful author, with the exception of, you know, those 1 in a million cases, just like with Hollywood, is somebody who just kept going and just didn't take no for an answer and just kept writing. If you Google it, you can find stories of famous authors who had very well-known manuscripts get rejected numerous times. And I try to remind myself of that every time I get, you know, a negative comment or a negative, no, thanks but no thanks on something that I'm pitching or things like that. So, you know, you gotta have thick skin, but at the same time, like, it makes the victories all that much sweeter. So when I got that first copy of my printed book in the mail, you know, it's one of those memories you'll never forget because you worked so hard for it. So I would tell any aspiring author, you just never know. It's a subjective business. Somebody one day may hate you and the next day they may love you. So you just got to keep with it.
A big thank you goes out to Lauryn Dyan for her participation in this month's Author Awareness interview. Now, if you're interested in following her on social media, all of those connections are linked down below. If you want to get a copy of her book, Hollow Stars, you can find it on Kindle and paperback on Amazon. Again, those are linked down below. I've got a copy and I'm eager to start reading it myself. Hey, thanks for watching. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe because that is how this channel is going to be able to grow its viewership. Remember to sign up as a channel supporter by heading over to patreon.com/GKJ Publishing, where you'll be able to access 4 support tiers of $1, $3, $5, and $20. Each tier comes with access to my new bloopers reel, sweet tier level perks, and special promotions. Connect with me on Instagram and Twitter at GKJ_publishing. Now, when you hit up the merch store, make sure that you rep an item easily by posting a pic to social media of you wearing or holding the item and tagging me with the hashtag 5kingdomsmerch. I'd love to feature your pics in a future video. That's it for me. I'll see you guys back here next week for Creator's Corner, where I will be discussing character insights regarding heroes and villains and what makes them spectacular. Thanks for watching.
The vlog of the 5 Kingdoms is filmed without the use of a live audience at Skyrocket Studios in Hanford, California. We can't do what we do without your help, so please make sure to subscribe by clicking the button that's above my head, and make sure to watch and share the videos over here to my left. Have a great week.